Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Women Wednesday. I'm your host, Lady B. Bless. As you know, Women Wednesday is all about spotlighting women in a leadership role. This is a weekly look at some amazing women who are doing some amazing things in leadership as mentors, as role models, as change makers, as community leaders, presidents, CEOs, and executive directors of their own businesses. There are even boss ladies, as we say, the lady boss. These are indeed women that leads. And today we have none other than the doctor herself. So today I'm going to introduce her. Her name is Dr. Clarisse Blanche. She is the Executive Director of African Hope Committee, and it doesn't stop there. We have 1000 African Women Network. As you can see, I have my pin on. I'm never without my One African Women Network, very proud of that network. But let's go back to African Hope Committee. African Hope Committee is an in-office immigration consulting services located in Harlem, New York. They offer, for those in the New York area and surrounding area, they offer advice regarding their status, their immigration status. So it's a nonprofit. And so they offer these services as a minimum cost, which means me and you, we could afford it, yes? African Hope Committee vision is to serve, to improve the overall welfare of the African immigrant and other ethnic groups through collaboration, facilitating greater assimilation and self-sufficiency while they immigrate here to the United States of America, as we call the diaspora. Our topic today, ladies and gentlemen, is domestic violence in the African diaspora. But before we dive into our topic, I want to bring her on. Let's bring the queen on herself. She wants to be doctor, but she's my queen. First and foremost, let me bring her on. Queen Dr. Clarisse Blanche, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lady B. Bless. Yeah, I like to call you Barbara, you know, my Barbara.
And you are the only one.
I'm the only one calling you Barbara because I love that.
You're the only one allowed.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Again, thank you for the invitation, you know, for this very important topics, you know, in our immigrant community, especially the African, you know, immigrant community in the diaspora. So we're not only talking about here in the United States, but in the diaspora in general. So again, thank you so much. And it's all about having a great conversation about a topic that have a great impact, negative impact, you know, in our community.
Yes. Before we get into the topic, tell me about some of the things that you are doing. Oh. Tell me some of the things that you have accomplished as a woman leader.
Well, there's several stuff. Yes,
go ahead. Take your time.
If we're gonna get into what, you know, I have accomplished here, I think we're gonna spend a whole day, you know? So since we only have an hour to, you know, to really get into this topic, my most well accomplishment is to get 2 major program accredited, you know, African Hope Committee. One is to get the organization being recognized by the Department of Justice, which used to call the Bureau of Immigration Appeal. That was done in 2010 or 8. The second one, as you know, and you're part of the global project, was to get African Hope accredited, you know, as an ECOSOC, you know, in the United Nations. So these
congratulations on that.
Yeah, these are my most well accomplishment that I felt that, yes, I deserve to be Dr. Clarisse today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And you do deserve it. You do a lot for women empowerment, and also you advocate for girl-child education, as well as your immigration program. And you've helped a lot of immigrants here in the United States. I'm not just going to say New York people, though she is located located in New York, her services expand all 50 states. So if you're in any 50 states and you're listening and you need immigration help, this is definitely the woman that you want to call, African Hope Committee. And we'll give you guys the information at the end of our conversation on domestic violence in the Africa diaspora community. Let's start that conversation. I'm an advocate for women empowerment as well as girl-child education. And domestic violence is something that I've noticed in an increase in the media as of late. So ladies and gentlemen, what is domestic violence? In a nutshell, simply put, it's one person's way of attempting to control another person, be it emotionally, psychologically, economically, physically, or sexually. This is one person, and it could be man and it could be women trying to take control of another person's life. And I just want to say that before we start, Clarisse, and this is something that not only extend from the African community, it extends to the African American community. It is said that cultural tradition discourage African men or African American men or women from talking openly about domestic violence. They sort of say what happens in the home stays in the home. So we're going to put that out there, and we're going to talk more about that later. But right now, let's talk about physical violence in the African community, in the diaspora.
Well, again, more and more, domestic violence, it's happening in the African community, and making families, at risk for everything, putting at risk for everything, family disturbance, family crisis, and disruptions at all. So it's something that it's happening every day in our community, in the African community, as I am, African. Mm-hmm. And it's something, to really talk about. So I'm glad that we opening these discussions, so that more and more, people, especially in the African community, can be aware of this. It's like bringing an awareness, and that African Hope Committee, our main goal is always to increase awareness on issues. And this is one of the important issues that is creating a major negative impact, in the community. Again, domestic violence. Domestic violence can be a violence where man or woman, it's in a relationship, to control, the other person. It's all about control, like you said, control. And most of the time, the control starts psychological control. It goes from there and then lead to physical. So it's very important that when a woman or a man see that he's being deeply psychologically, affected by the spouse or by the partner, it's time for them to question themselves whether they still want to be in that relationship. Again, you talk about in the African culture, how when things happen, it has to stay within the family. Yes, it's no longer the case. Not only it stays in the family, that sometimes they resolve the issues, taking to the church, taking to the mass, religion, faith-based, and all these things. But most of the cases and most of the domestic death, there's a lot of death occurring in the diaspora because of domestic violence, spousal abuse. It's not because they did not seek, all this help. They had all this help, but they got to a point where it's just went to a point that, you see all this killing going around, how do you call, in the country.
Let's talk about the psychological abuse and how it starts. And that's something you touched on, but let's go a little deeper in there, because I think people need to know and look for these signs. So you think psychological abuse is emotional abuse?
Yes, psychological
Separation
and
from the
emotional
family.
abuse starts when the person thinks that he owns you or she owns you. And especially, here we're talking about immigration and migration. Immigration and migration, it's when, in a relationship, in a spousal relationship, is when maybe the spouse or the husband brought you here, or the wife brought you in the country. That's one of the worst relationship and abuse that happens.
So they use that as a form of control.
That's what happened. Most of this spousal domestic death that is occurring in the community right now, in the diaspora, it's when one person brought another person in the country. Then wow. You become like a slave. You become like a slave, because what happened is that whatever you do, the person will still remind you that I brought you here. I brought you here. I mean, Barbara, you're laughing. I hear this a lot.
No, I'm smiling. I'm saying yes, yes.
I mean, even at my office, just the other day, oh, I brought her here. She's doing this. She's doing this. I mean, it's all about I brought you here. So you have no freedom. You have no freedom, and you will never have freedom. Even if you bear 3, 4, 5 children in the house that can even prove your love to that person will still not be comfortable or empowered to know that this woman loved me. All he sees is that I brought her here, and again, full control.
Wow. How do we combat that? How do we eradicate that feeling out of people when they cross over, when they come and they bring someone? Because not everyone has that type of mentality.
In most cases, here in the African community, in most cases, I mean,
wow.
In most cases, most of the clients, I'm talking about, on the how do you call it, professional standpoint, with the clients that I see in the office, and most of the time, it's the control comes in when one of the spouse is one that brought the woman in the country. Just like the other day, I'm gonna give one of the classical example. This woman called me, she's in a relationship, she's married, she came in, the husband pays so much money for her to come here, and now she arrives, and she discovered that, she herself discovered that maybe this is not the life that she wants, although the man went all the way to her country and get married to her, and everything was done, and then brought her back here. When she got here, she saw that this is not what she wants. And she's telling me, what can I do? She already have 2, 3 children with the man, and asking my advice as to what she can do.
But she's, okay, if she has 2 children, so she's been here for a while.
She's been here for a while, but she never been happy. Again, she's there because, like you just said, family says so. She respects the family, and she respects the friends. She respects the imam, that it's around them. And but the whole energy, inside the house is not what she doesn't want to live
damaging.
In that environment. The energy doesn't please her. She told me that I just can't anymore. I just can't. And someone like this, trust me, if she fell in the hands of someone that is brutal, this is a case where tomorrow you're gonna hear that, she's been killed. That's it. She's gonna be, this is what's gonna happen.
So the message is clear. Be sure this is what you want to do before you do it. Be sure that you want to bring someone over before you bring them over. Be sure that person wants to come over before you bring them.
In some cases, yes, because again, some of them, when you saw on the news, some of the women that gotten killed lately, how do you call it, here in the United States?
Professional women.
Again, you got into it. You see, you got into it. Professional women. These are women that, you know, they come here and the husband guide them because they've been here. They know how things work. They guide them even as to what type of profession they should, you know, go into it. And since most of the stable profession that will bring financial security in the house, it's to be a nurse.
A nurse,
you know,
yes.
They all go for nursing. And imagine, when they start getting that checks, trust me, it's a chaos. I have seen so much in our community. It's a chaos.
And it's easier for a woman to get a job here than a man.
Put their life in danger. Put their lives in danger. These women, their lives are in danger. They live negotiating every day with their husband. Even if the marriage lasts, it's not what it's supposed to be.
It's not happy.
They cannot control the financial gain, you know, in the house. No, they cannot.
Yes. So that's another one. Psychologically, emotionally, financially, educationally, because some of them they've put to school.
Yes. Yes.
So the education and then the financial stress that comes in the home all leads to this sexual abuse and this domestic violence and this physical abuse in our community.
Right.
And we haven't even touched bases on the children.
Oh, the children.
So the last one I heard that he killed a woman, killed himself, and left 3 kids.
Right.
What do you think the psychological effect on the children?
I mean, kids are always, you know, the victim. You know, they're always victim, and it's the domestic, you know, the violence in the house also affect the kids. They cannot perform in school. Though the grown-up children, you know, they're not stable. And we used to have a program where we work with children from the ACS. You know, ACS, it's the organization that work with children and remove children from home here in New York. We used to counsel and work with a lot of family, you know, and we have that program that was funded, you know, by all these organizations. And most of the time you have these children removed from the house because the constant fight, and the kids go to school, they're not happy. Okay, just a woman just explained to me the other day that the child went to school looking like crazy, okay, looking crazy because that night there was a fight in the house with the mother. And also at the same time, the father also attacked the children. So when the child went to school, he reported that. And guess what? The father was called and got arrested, you know, at his job.
Yes, which is something that they're not used to because this is not something that they would do in Africa. The child will not go and report and then they will come back to the house. So there's a lot of dynamics we're dealing with here also, cultural change of environment.
Yeah.
And different rules and regulation. You cannot do that in the US.
Absolutely.
And even if the child did not report it, the teacher has an obligation to report that something is wrong with this child. So our community really need to be educated about the system before they try it.
Absolutely. They really need to be educated. Sometimes they know, but they like, you know, I don't care. But I feel like sometimes, I mean, they know, but because again, the culture, you know, they dip into the culture. This is what I'm supposed to do. I'm the head of the household. No one can do this and no one can do that. But at the same time, you cannot even maybe take good care of your family. Yes. You have a full control of your wife and the children. And again, like the example of this classical woman who want to leave the husband is like, I cannot, I just can't. The husband only want my children, you know, to on the weekend to be like in how do you call, at the mosque to study the Quran. My children are so how do you call, they're excellent. They're like one of the excellent kids in school and doing good in writing. They go like into writing competition, and sometimes they ask to travel with them out of the state, you know, with other students too. And my husband don't want this, you know what I mean? Just to keep them in the mass, you know, for the Quran in the weekend. Again, it's very complicated.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Solutions, what do you think?
Mm-hmm. Well, solutions, again, is to create more dialogue like this, more conversation like this in the community, having more services that it's culturally fit, you know, to address, you know, African issues in a very cultural way, like other immigrant community. You know, again, I work with a lot of immigrant community, like the Hispanic community, the Asian community. The Asian community is worse. When you talked about domestic violence in the Asian community,
they do not say a word.
10 times worse than us, okay? But again, they have a system and ways to address that in their community, okay? But we don't have that. The African community here in New York, we were that, I mean, there was African Service Committee, and then it was African Hope. And until today, they will call me with a lot of cases, you know, from organizations that seek counseling, family counseling, and all these things. But because, you know, again, there's not sufficient, you know, support, you know, African Hope, blah, blah. And my heart is so full, you know what I mean? You know, the global project, the immigration project. I used to sit in the office and counsel, you know, families and women and all this. And sometimes I do it for free. I mean, I do it for, I would say free or charge. We don't charge. When I say charge, it's because we have a grant that covers, you know, the program, you know what I mean? So, but in certain case, like the case of this woman who want to leave, she's very desperate. You know, that woman, there's a need for me to sit her down.
Yeah, intervention needs to be given with her. Yeah.
And counsel her. I can see there's a need. I've scheduled her to come to the office so we can begin a counseling session, because I really want her to find a solution and to raise her children in a very positive environment.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the pandemic and the increase now. Yeah. And I think the pandemic has just skyrocketed domestic violence to the forefront. Mm-hmm. Because now with people being locked together, movement restrictions, everything, the financial stress, no money, no job. Everyone is afraid of going out because they don't want to get the COVID violence. Right now, there have been this year 243 million reports of physical, sexual abuse. And that's only in the United States alone. With 1 out of 5 women reporting and 1 out of 7 men reporting. Those statistics, when I was doing my research, because I know I was speaking to the Queen, have to get my get my information on point. Those statistics to me was alarming. Over 5 million domestic violence occur annually to women between the age of 18 and 25. And then I noticed that age. I was like, what is an 18, 20, 25-year-old doing in domestic violence? But like you said, it's a psychological thing. It's psychological and emotional. When you hear these numbers and when you do your research and you see these numbers, what are you thinking?
Yeah, it's scary. It's alarming. It's scary and it's alarming.
And you have girls, beautiful girls, gorgeous girls.
Exactly.
All girls.
All girls. No, you're right.
So as a mother, I have boys.
With 4 girls, it's scary.
It's different. It's a different type of feeling.
It's very scary. Even without the COVID, it's scary. You know what I mean? Because you can see that most men most men or young men today are not taking the full responsibility. Are not taking the full responsibility.
Or they don't know
That's
how to take the responsibility. I train my boys a certain way,
right,
to be a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
But when I see children or young adults, my children age, and they're acting a certain way, I'm like, where did they learn this from? And you
They
go to
learn
social media and you see them cussing grown people and shoving and pushing in the way that they are. You're like, this is leading to a society of abusers.
Yes, definitely, yes.
It's the behavior pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And it's happening more and more. I think Avon is calling at your door.
Avon, right? You want to give me 1 second, please?
Okay, no problem. I'm going to go over some more statistics. So they say before the pandemic, less than 40% of women who experienced domestic abuse reported it. So since the lockdown, domestic abuse and violent calls have increased around the world. And I'm going to give you guys like Singapore, 33%, Cyprus, 30%, France, 30%, and Argentina, 25%. And some of these factors are money, health, security stress, movement restriction, crowded homes, and a lack of peer control support. And that's another thing, Dr. Clarisse. I think it's important that people realize that spending all day with the same person sometimes, especially if in the beginning you and this person really didn't get along. But before you could go out and hang out with your girlfriends, you're like, hey, I need a break. Let's go out, let's hang out. But now they can't do it. So how do we support those that are in lockdown, that's going through, because no one is talking about it?
It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of stress. I mean, young kids, even adults, not only young kids, but adults themselves, they want to go out. Again, if you don't have that maturity, if you don't have that understanding that out there is dangerous, it's not like it used to be. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They will always find a way to be out. They will find a way to be out. And when you say no as a parent, it becomes so stressful. If you say no as, in a relationship, I'm going to describe something, I'm going to describe something. Like maybe during like the heavy crisis of COVID, you have couple, men or women, the men that is used to hang out outside still want to go out. And the wife is saying, no. But the men want to be out with friends, continue drinking and all this thing. And the wife says that, no, you're going to put us at risk.
Especially if they have children.
You're going to put us at risk. And that's what happened a lot in the community during COVID crisis and even now. I used to have phone calls, especially during the heavy crisis. You have, especially women, calling the office, expressing themselves emotionally about, the husband being out, trying to go out and hang out with their friends. So how are you going to address this? Unless you address directly to the person.
And that won't happen. Because if you address it directly to the person, they're going to think that the wife is talking about them behind their back. And that creates a whole new different dynamics of problems.
It's going to be, it might lead to like physical abuse. Now that we're talking about psychological abuse, it's definitely going to lead to physical abuse. And the woman going to be in danger.
And she's going to be in danger. And the children, if they have children in the household.
Yeah, they're going to be in danger. They're all going to be in danger because that one person is putting everyone at risk for his own benefit, for his own whatever he want to be out there to do with friends, putting his family in danger, which I will be completely against that. The same thing with a child. that want to go out. Again, let's talk about this. A child that want to go out, adult child that still live with the parents that want to go out. You have the parents that already reach an age and they're telling you that COVID-19 is killing people from 50 and up. You know what I mean?
That's why I stay home. I'm not going out. I'm over 50.
This is what we need to, people need to pay attention to this.
Yes.
It's not like, yes, you can let your child go out. The child gonna go out, it might carry the disease and be asymptomatic, come home, and then you catch the disease. You have the parents in the house, you have grandparents in the house. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So me, I'm a little bit very strict because first,
there's many cases of frontline workers taking it home in the beginning, and grandparents and parents have passed away and they have to live with that.
Yes, thank you so much.
There's many cases of that. So many cases. Children going to parties and taking it home. People going to work and taking it home. People going everywhere and taking it home. So many cases of it. So we have to be careful.
I mean, at least for work, I mean, when you go to work, you can, I mean, we're not asking anyone to die, but at least you were going for something. But you're going out for party. You know what I mean? You know that you're going out for party, and then you're going to come back and make everybody at risk in the house. That it's very selfish.
Yes, it is. Yes. Yes. The as an immigration expert, someone in the immigration field, do you feel it's necessary to have a program when you counsel immigrants, when they first come and they come, say, to your office?
Okay.
Is it, I think, and I'm just thinking, like trying to think ahead for the future of having a program or a must attend class for domestic violence for immigrants as part of the learning process. I think, and because at the end of the day, how do we implement a solution? How do we even come up with a solution?
That's excellent. That's very excellent. And again, these are the type of program that you write in a proposal seeking for grant for a specific program, although it's immigration, because immigration itself will not be funded by any funders. We used to have immigration program funded by funders, but because it was attached like to women issues, the women issues. So like you just said, something like that will be good. Like you write a program, on domestic violence and other form of violence, and which is really attached, to immigration.
Because the statistics are there.
Yeah.
The numbers are there. The cases are there.
Yeah, like when they come seeking a VAWA, Violence Against Women Act, it's something that we really have to sit there and really educate them before we even start it. Because sometimes you start the application and down the road, they don't want to continue.
Too much information.
They don't want to continue because they feel that, if the husband knows, it's going to be a problem to them and all this and all this and all that, which is not the case, because we have helped a lot of men and women, not only women, also men, to become legal, because of the program of VAWA. But again, in some cases, in the middle of the case, then they go back again to the abuser. You know what I mean?
And then you have to start all over again.
And then the application is seized. We just have to withdraw the application. It's complicated. Working with Africans, it's complex. You really have to understand the culture and just.
And there's so many different cultures.
Yeah.
Within one country.
Is one country. Very different.
So you have a country like Cameroon with so many different aspects.
Complicated.
Which is tribal.
Complex. You have the Nigerian.
Oh, we can't even.
when that group comes to the office, I'm like, okay,
it's all
trust me, especially with the asylum case, you're like, is this really exist or what? You know what I mean? It's
wow.
Yeah, it's very complicated.
It would be a good start to have a program like that initiated and not only start with you, but go out, you know, to other services, to be like a national standard.
Okay.
You see, like something that you have to take as an immigrant. You know, being that you're coming by yourself, or if you're coming to bring your family, because we all come to bring our family.
Right.
It's always the case. No one ever comes say, I'm coming by myself. It's always, I'm coming here to make a better life, to bring my family, or either send money to my family back home.
Or to build a family.
To build a family, to build a family. And I look at this show, 90 Day Fiance. That show is like comedy relief. But one thing that the person don't understand is the cultural difference, that they have to blend two culture in one. And then saying being with someone and living with someone is two different things.
And that's
two different things.
That's what happened every day. That's especially with the fiancé visa. We even, when we take seminars on the fiancé visa, that's one of the cases where the fiancé gets here and don't want the fiancé anymore. You know what I mean?
Are they married? They have the 90 days to get married.
Exactly. And you have 90 days to get married.
And they get married, and then they get their work paper, and then I don't want this anymore.
They don't want it anymore. Yeah, that happens. That happens a lot. That happens a lot in a not only African, but in the immigrant community.
In the immigrant community, because it's a very popular visa type. I think it's that on the spousal visa is very popular. But it's just very worrying that, you know, this is going on in our community, and it's happening. Like, even this guy went to she was his ex-wife. I think he was Cameroonian too. He went to the ex-wife job and killed her. Right. I think that recently happened.
Yeah, that one, I think Cameroonian. I think so. Yeah, I mean, it's happening like the Kenyan community. It's like happening every day. When I was reading, you know, on the news, and I was doing my little researches, I was shocked to see that there's a lot of spousal death in the Kenyan community. You know, it's there's a report showing that there's a lot of Kenyan, you know, domestic violence, and they say that most of them live like in Minnesota and here in New Jersey, and there's a lot of cases.
Really?
Yeah.
Minnesota,
and New Jersey. Yeah, the concentration of the Kenyan community. So, and I learned that there's a lot of spousal and domestic abuse and family conflict and, conflict, how do you call, all type of conflicts in that community.
In the Kenyan community.
Yeah. I was very shocked. I know it used to happen a lot in the Nigerian community.
Yes, a couple of years ago, like a lot in LA, it was just like boom, 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 right after the other. And it was in LA, the LA area. Wow. And all the women were nurses.
Wow, exactly.
They were all nurses. And this guy was like, well, she was making more money than me, and I'm the head of the house, and she wasn't respecting me as the head of the house. And that really got to him, and he killed her.
Yeah. It's very sad. So again, the message is that women need to really, make sure that, they take control of their life. And again, getting into a relationship, especially when you leave your country, coming here on a spousal visa, which is the faster visa to come here, sometimes because, your husband who's a citizen travel down, to your country and get married and come back here and process all the visa application for you to come here. It's very good, for families also back home to really educate the child, as to where she's going and how she's going
to. She doesn't. Oh yeah, they have to educate them on what to expect, but how would they know? They have no way of knowing.
Yeah, like the last one. I mean, they have no way of knowing, but again, I will say that I think more and more of these conversations, you know what I mean? Of this dialogue need to be in the community, in English, in French. It needs to be like national, international dialogue about issues like this to avoid, and also to bring our men to understand that this is not only the solution to kill this woman. There's a lot of help out there, And one of the things that trigger, I will tell you one of the things that trigger these killings in our community. It's when the spouse, the woman, put the man in child support. That child support is like you just messed up everything. Don't bring child, I mean, that argument in my office is like, can you believe this? Just like the other day, this man is going, for retirement, okay? Retirement, listen to me. He's gonna be retired. And they have 2 children. So he's filed for one and the husband and the wife files for one. Now that he's going for retirement, he's asking for the wife. Can he has both children, on his retirement plan so that when he gets the money, he gives the money to, part of the money, for the children to the wife. They're already separated. The wife is like, never, never, never. So he brought that argument to my office just the other day. I'm telling you, it doesn't end. It's a serious issue in the community. It's a serious issue. So now he's like, you know what? I'm not even going to talk about this anymore. I'm just going to go and file for one child. But she has to know that this is it. If I can give her $100 every month or $50 every month, I will not pay for the other child. I will not pay for the other child. Because again, I'm not working. I'm going for retirement, meaning that my money is going to be less. And these are the type of argument that going to lead them again to court. They may
because it's still his responsibility.
They may end up in family court again. And again, it's a type of marriage that when the man came to me and explained how, they separated, he separated with his wife. It's just like the wife, at that time, the wife is taking a full control. She's not the one taking a full control of the husband. And the story is very sad.
So she's more dominated than he is.
She is. And again, I think that she got very frustrated. I think I spoke about that live one time. She felt very frustrated because she was sick. She got diagnosed with cancer and she never told her husband. She was living with that until she went to the hospital.
That is so common. I've heard that a lot from Africans. The woman would be sick, dying, breast cancer, cancer this, and they would not tell the family.
No.
Why?
No, in the house. So that man was like even crying. He said, can you believe I asked my wife just changed from 1 to 10. And every day I asked my wife, what's going on? My wife didn't tell me until the day she herself got up to go to the hospital for surgery. She got for surgery and came back. And then I saw my wife's chest was flat and she was like with medication. And then I asked her what happened. I mean, it was like a war in a house that I had to just leave. Otherwise, the police was going to come and arrest me, thinking that I'm the one creating everything here. You see the type of stress that is happening in the house.
She was entirely wrong.
She was wrong.
She was entirely wrong.
She was very wrong.
Because you know, even as a man or as a woman, the feeling that you now feel after knowing the person that you loved hide such a big thing from you.
He is shocked. Until today, he's shocked because I was doing his citizenship. He's waiting for his interview. I was doing his citizenship. He is shocked until today, you know, and he's the one that brought the woman from Africa here. He's the one. He brought the woman. So that's the opposite. It's the woman that went from 1 to 10 with some anger. You couldn't manage the anger. She was just bitter, you know, according to him, so bitter that he couldn't even, you know, with 2 children, and he left the house. She chased him out of the house, not even that he left the house. She's like, oh, either you leave or I
wonder where her anger came from, because she was the one that held the sickness from him. And maybe she felt a little resentment that she had to go through all this all alone. But at the end of the day, it was her choice.
Yeah. So
ladies and even men, when you guys are going, I don't know why they do that. I have several friends who are African who were sick and they never told their spouse. Never.
Okay. You had that issue. You heard about those issues. Too.
Yes, I have friends. You know, I have a lot of African friends.
Yes.
Although I wasn't born in Africa, you know, Africa is in me.
You are a queen. You queen.
I'm Cameroonian on one day, Nigerian the other, Ghanaian the other. It's okay. Nana Ama tomorrow. So I know Ghana is my second home, but yeah, that issue there of being sick and not telling even their mom or their family member or their spouse and their children is a very dangerous habit.
Happening a lot in our community, especially when we used to work, when we ran our HIV and AIDS program. Oh my God, oh my God.
So they're living with HIV and they're not telling people. They're living with this and they're not telling. That is so dangerous.
That was just crazy. You know, she, after even, you know, having a baby, coming home and not breastfeeding, she will have a pressure, you know, even from her parents or, you know, from family-in-law about breastfeeding. And she will hide, you know, and she explaining that to us. Yeah. And for
her to have the breast taken, which means it was very advanced.
And the husband don't know. She will, I don't know. I've seen and heard everything.
It's a psychological thing, Doctor.
I've seen and heard everything.
That's psychological, but
it's cultural. I think it's cultural. I mean, people are not open. How do you call to the sickness in our community? They will not freely open, you know, about what they
breast cancer.
Yes.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so we're pink for breast cancer. I see you're wearing your pink.
Yeah.
I didn't wear my pink, but it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and
at least you have your SDG circle.
Yes, I own my SDG. Oh, see, I'm there in the thing on the other side. I have my SDG and my African Women Network pin on. So most definitely, these issues need to be addressed. Your hands is full. I already know. Your hands is full. You do so much and you do a lot. But I would say if you have the time or energy to start something like that, and where a program is implemented throughout the diaspora for people that's coming in to educate them on the stress of domestic violence or the stress of bringing someone into the country and how it leads to domestic violence would be a very great thing.
Been, you know, one of the African Hope, you know, consultant in many issues, you know, in our communication and social media, you know, activities at African Hope. And you always bring great ideas, you know, to African Hope. So if you see something like that can benefit, you know, our community, you know, again, you can all sit down, you know, with the board and other consultant, you know, and see how we can design a program that can help.
I'm sure there's a grant out there somewhere that could cover something like that. If you like you say, pinpoint it.
Right, right.
bringing issue. And like I say, the numbers are there. Mm-hmm. The examples are there. You could bring up years, months, and you could bring it down now to how COVID is extremely escalated the domestic violence in our community. Mm-hmm. I'm sure, the grants is there. It's just, like you say, getting it together and doing it for it. I want you to give everyone your contact information, how they could get in contact with you, your website, your programs, and everything. We're about to wrap up. This is an interesting conversation. It's like, I hate to leave it.
I know, right? We can be all day talking about women issues,
Yes, and that's just half of it. I mean,
it's just not even half of it,
I know.
The financial
3%.
crisis and all these issues that, dominations, and there's so many issues, that we can talk about women. Like when I usually been interviewed with Mia TV, it's all about, in French, it's all about women, because they have a program that is called Nous les femmes. It's like we women. So it's all about women issues. It's a lot, okay? So again, talking about, our information and how to reach, me or African Hope, especially African Hope, you can first visit our website at www.africhope.org, www.africhope.org. And then you can also like, our Facebook pages. We have 3 Facebook pages, Afric Hope. We have African Hope Committee, Inc. And that's where you get most of our information about immigration. If you want to learn more about our immigration, you can visit our Facebook page, African Hope Committee, Inc. And if you want to learn more about our global issues and activities, you can visit African Hope Committee, Inc. Global Project. And to join the network as Barbara, as Lady Be Blessed, as one of the honorable member of the foundation, one of the founding member of the network, you can visit 1,000 African Women Network and join, join the network.
Yes, and everything is available on Facebook, people. Exactly. So, go on the Book of Faces and look up African Hope Committee, look up 1,000 African Women Network, especially the young girls. Trust me, this network is a training platform for young ladies to step in the line of professional businesses and professional organization. It is a training platform. Yes. If you're a young girl there and you're looking for mentors, if you're looking for older women like ourselves that are actually willing to train you to be more professional, to start your own organization, to learn business language and styles, definitely look for 1,000 African Women Network, because there's not too many networks out there that will take that time to invite you to the United Nations. And I must say, I always have to tell people, I will always have respect for Dr. Clarisse Blanche. Of the first visit to the United Nations, she made that possible for Lady Be Blessed.
And also getting your first awards. Yeah?
And my first recognition under my foundation came from African Hope Committee. So I will always have that respect, because there are professors, lawyers, there's Dr. Ininchi, who has never been to the United Nations, who have never, made it past. I always felt and always give her that honor and that recognition. And I always, forever, because my visit to the United Nations gave me the passion and the heart to start my foundation, which is the Lady Blessed Humanitarian Foundation that's doing wonderful work in Ghana right now. So you always have to give recognition where recognition is due. And definitely, she is definitely someone that puts herself out there to help others. She'll tell you she'll charge your African Hope Committee. I'm sure she's only saying that. She will sit and service you all day and you'll walk out the door and she wouldn't ask for no money. But donations are always needed. So find a website and donate. Everything that we do, it costs time, even your time, your energy. So these organizations is something that we should always find a way to donate to. She's built wells in Cameroon. She's built libraries in Cameroon. And she sits there, she doesn't want to tell everything, but I guess I'll have to tell the full. She's been recognized by the police department in New York. She has her whole wall in her office is just accreditations and everything. Being accredited by the United Nations is not an easy task. It's a week-long process. And to get accreditation is an honorable thing. So she's accredited by ECOSOL, the United Nations. So all these things, and that's just what I can remember, but it goes on and on and on. Her resume is like 3 pages long. I'm like, Clarisse, can we no, Barbara, I can't. It's everything's there. So when you see women like this, you definitely want to take them as role models and as mentors. These are the people that you seek to be role models and mentors. Remember, I say
just like Lady B that never said no. You have trained so many women, and
I try.
No, you do. I mean, come on, Lady. You are just one of the role models, of a lot of women and young women in the community, especially. You empower people, you know that your job is to really empower people, and I really admire that from you.
Yes, and I must say this, but Clarisse doesn't know.
A positive thing in someone,
Yes, I try. I try to say positive, except like some people work my nerves sometimes, but I don't let it get to me.
Don't get into that.
I don't get into that. We won't get. We won't get into that. Clarisse and I go way back. I mean, like years, way back. And we could go 2 years without speaking to each other. But when we speak, it's like we just spoke yesterday. Now, I'm not a video person. I'm definitely a radio personality. I love being on radio. Yes. But Clarisse, I think 2 years ago, I told Clarisse to start doing Facebook Lives. Oh, she was so against it. Yes. But you know what? Her courage has inspired me today to do Facebook Lives. Now, every Wednesday, I'm here doing Facebook Live. And I think she did the roast program for I said, look at Clarisse.
Yeah.
Don't do it. And she did it 1 week and she would stop. And she would do it another 2 weeks and then she would stop. She's getting that courage. That courage is coming.
No, it's too much. It's the work overload. You know what I mean? Sometimes I say, okay, it's going to be every Monday. Then it's the Monday that I have a list of clients to consult, in the office.
Yeah.
It's there that, maybe my consultant going to come for me to review this program. It's just not, again, this is how we run.
But you did it. You did it.
Black business, we don't have so much resource.
We won't even talk about that. Hey.
We don't talk about Black business another day.
Black women
the
business.
Black women business, right? It's like we want to do everything.
And we not asking, it was afraid to ask for money. Well, whatever you could pay me. I really had to get over that one.
Exactly.
Well, whatever you could pay me. COVID time be no, this is what you need to pay. COVID has made it so we have to pay. Well, I've really enjoyed our conversation and we must do this again sometime.
Yes, there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of topics. There's a lot of issues that really impact. I know you wanted to do one specifically on immigration.
Yes, and I was so surprised when you said domestic violence, but it makes sense.
And I said, let's do domestic violence first, because I know that it's an issue that is going on in our community. Again, it's a beginning, of a dialogue, in our community. So then we can then.
We didn't even talk about your book.
Again, there's so many things, we haven't.
She's written a book. Listen, people, it's on Amazon. It's on my read list. It's on my read list. Clarisse Blanche.
I stopped, really marketing because my second book it's gonna be coming up on public health, and it takes a lot of resources, you know, to be like, I don't want to spend all my energy being all over with Clarisse Blanche and then later with, you know, my book that is gonna be out. So I just slow down, you know, with Clarisse Blanche, which a lot of people, I mean, it's doing very well. I mean, I get all like crazy, trust me. It's, no, it's doing good. It's really
so we have to add author to her name, which I didn't. You forgot about the book. Wow. She's just doing everything. My dear, you know, thank
it's
you.
My memoir, because it's talking about some of the issues that we are talking about right now. You know, women issues, girl issues, immigration, migrations, educations, and everything. It's all in that book. And a lot of people love the book. A lot of people like the book.
Wonderful. My dear, we have to wrap up now. I thank you once again. I appreciate you. I thank you for all that you have done. And I always want to say, keep going, keep doing, never stop being you. Lovely person that you are, and always helping and guiding people in the right direction. Even sometimes when the conditions are not favorable in your best interest, you try to do the best that you can.
Thank you so much.
So that is, I've witnessed those situations. So definitely you are appreciated. Thanks everyone again for logging in and visiting us here on Facebook Live, www.imladyblessed.com. The show will be on YouTube within the next 45 minutes, so you guys can view it. Thank you again and have a great day, Dr. Fall. And we will get together again, talk about the book, the new book. When the new book comes out, let's get together and go through the book.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you again. Have a great day.
Thank you, dear.
My listeners, once again, thank you for tuning in. Next week, we have another great episode of Women Wednesday. Thank you. 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at www.facebook.com/I am Lady B Blessed or Lady B Blessed, either or. Thank you.